Welcome to the Centre for Legal Innovation's Legal Techy Tuesday series. We are very excited to have Ben Farrow, co-founder and Managing Director of FirmChecker, here with us today. Ben will be demonstrating how FirmChecker's platform works, what it does, and how it can be used to collect business-critical insights for innovative firms. Again, welcome. Fabulous to have you here. And now over to Ben.
Thank you, Christine. It's great to be here, and thanks everyone for joining this webinar where I'll be demonstrating FirmChecker and its application to your firm, hopefully. In doing so, I'll go through some of the insights that we've been able to derive through both the operation of the platform and the research we were conducting before the fact of building the platform, which has really informed its design because we like to practice what we preach and have taken a really data-driven approach to how we design it. And hopefully, whether or not you ever sign up to FirmChecker or whether it's something that's for you, you'll be able to get some value and some insights here that you could apply in your firm and which will make it easier to run from a marketing and client relationship perspective. So just the organizing framework for this webinar and for how we've built our platform really is the buyer cycle model. For some of you, this will probably be revision. It'll be something that you've studied in professional services marketing or come across in various webinars, as it's fairly widely prescribed. But it's just a helpful organizing framework for both the data we collect and for how you think about your client relationships. And it basically goes through the client journey and how people engage with your firm, starting here at awareness. So if you think about a potential client, they might have heard about your firm. I don't know, maybe they walked past you in your offices in the street, or maybe they heard about it through word of mouth, but they're aware of your firm and they may or may not have a need. And this is sort of a classic marketing funnel where you have a decreasing number of people going all the way through this journey. And then maybe they have a legal need that comes up. Let's say you're a family lawyer and they have a family law issue, maybe they're going through a divorce, they've heard of your firm, and then they start considering using your services in the context of the broader market where they maybe have heard of several family law firms. They go through to engaging you and you onboard them. And then there is the substantive matter itself, whereby people use your services, you provide services to them, and then afterwards, whether explicitly or implicitly, they're evaluating your services, and that then feeds into the client voice, which feeds into your reputation. So if, for example, they're unhappy, they tell other people about the bad experience they might have had with your firm, then that feeds into your reputation and then impacts back further up in the buyer cycle model, the frequency with which people consider you and engage your firm. Or conversely, if people have a great experience, that will feed positively into your reputation. If you have a firm and a business model which is conducive to repeat business, which many firms do, let's say you provide generalist legal services to businesses, well, that will then inform whether or not they use your firm, basically, or whether they then switch to another provider. So it's a high-level model. It shows how people interact with professional services firms broadly. It's something that you may have come across, but it is a helpful organizing framework. And we'll just touch on each of these stages throughout this presentation and talk about an insight here that will enable you to perhaps make better decisions and think about how your firm interfaces with that buyer cycle model. We'll start off with addressing growth markets in the awareness stage so that you can get the highest return on effort, filling your pipeline and boosting conversion rates amongst people who are in the market for buying legal services, which obviously people mostly aren't at any given point in time, getting more repeat business, and also driving word of mouth growth and feeding that all back into your reputation, creating that premium brand, which can help you to win work a lot more effectively and run a smoother operation. We've built our platform in pursuit of all of these goals, and we'll just share some of the data that's sitting behind that. So the first thing that we have noticed in operating the platform, this has sort of arrived as behavioral data that's come up organically. Just when we built the platform, we launched it, we get thousands of users each month. And over the course of the lifetime of the platform, which is still relatively new, we've had tens of thousands. Dominantly, they're coming in the 25 through 34-year-old age bracket. And there are two reasons for that. One reason is that people who are in that age bracket don't yet have the established relationships that people who are older might have, and so they are in the market for the first time. Professional services procurement is fairly sticky. People tend to stick with their lawyers or their accountants for a long period of time, and so those decisions are really made. They start their professional lives, they start their businesses, and they actually have a need. So that is one reason that's driving this. The other reason is that the buying behavior of millennials is very, very different. And that's because of the technology that is available to them, or us, I should say. Speaking anecdotally, I mean, I don't go to a restaurant without checking its ratings and reviews on Zomato. Like similarly, a hotel, I use TripAdvisor, for example. We're effectively a TripAdvisor style platform for professional services firms. And what we're finding is that the younger demographic of people who are in the market for the first time for professional services firms find our platform really valuable as a tool to aid with their awareness and their consideration for different professional services providers for their needs. And our view is that this is only going to grow because all the projections are that by 2025, 75% of the workforce will actually be millennials or younger. And we expect this trend here, with over 30% of the market sort of being in that 25 to 34-year-old range. We expect over time, as millennials start to dominate the workforce, as our platform becomes more and more well subscribed, of that to flatten over time as the younger generations do go through the workforce. So in terms of awareness, it is a really important place to be. And we have designed it with based upon feedback so that we have those the needs of those people in mind. So I'll just switch here to the actual platform itself. You should be now seeing my screen on the home page, but let's say, for example, somebody might be considering an individual firm. I'll look up one that I'm aware of so O'Reilly Workplace Law, and then they can find the profile for that firm and read the ratings, see the reviews, see what they specialize in. So I'll go back to some more of the data, but it's a tool that's based upon really that trend of buyers actually going into looking into the data and making that as one of the pieces of the puzzle in informing their purchase decisions. So what are the actual biggest influences on purchase decisions for clients? This is a bit of a different base here. It's not necessarily people who are in the market. We surveyed people who already have professional services providers, both in law and accounting. This is the legal sample. And we asked them, when you were hiring a legal services provider last time you did, what was the biggest influence on your hiring decision? And you'll see here, experience in your area of need, closely followed by expertise. Obviously, there is a lot of overlap there, but people really want to see proof that you actually are doing what you say you do. Likewise, they want to see that you understand their needs. In a lot of these were B2B clients, so they want you to understand their business and their industry, and they want to have some sort of upfront information about your pricing and your fee structures. So really, it is about that proof. And we have really leaned into that in the design of our platform by allowing you to leverage data from your clients and show that to the public for better social proof that you are doing what you say you do. So for example, with O'Reilly Workplace Law, here you can see they've got 78 reviews, 97% of which are in employment and industrial. That provides really good proof of concept that, okay, these people are actually getting a lot of matters. They've got a good experience in the area that I need. Insofar as people care about the industry sector that's been serviced, which people often do, we also have the ability to drill down into what are the industries that this firm is serving. See here, it's quite a lot are in professional and scientific services. We have another firm based in Sydney that specialises in fintech and banking and financial services. And that's where it's really helpful for them who are trying to carve out an industry sector specialisation. And you can see 80% of their work is in finance and insurance. The way that works is we have a smart lookup system based upon many thousands of reviews which have been matched to the ABS industry standard classifications. So fairly effortlessly, your client will just type in their industry. They'll be able to select from many thousands of industries which have been pre-categorized. That'll match it to this high-level visualization. Likewise, in that data, you could see that people actually really do care about fee structures. They want pricing transparency, something that I'm not going to show in this directly, but which we've proved over a very high sample size is that clients on fixed fees are on average happier. And what this allows you to do is demonstrate, here are the different offerings that we have from a fee perspective in terms of fee structures. Here are the perceptions of price. For example, you can see here, O'Reilly Workplace Law is considered to be fair, average price, neither cheap nor expensive, and a very good value for that price. So it's just really helpful in demonstrating to your client base that we're experts in the areas that we say we are. We don't say that we're specialists in 20 different practice areas, but do 90% of our work in wills and estates, for example. It shows that you have flexible fee structures that tailor to their needs, and that you have, if that's a priority for you, a specialization in terms of industry sector so that you can really show that you understand the client's business and industry. So just going back to the slides, this was another interesting, we already have legal services providers, mind you, and that is, if you knew they were available, would you check online reviews of law firms before the fact of hiring them for the first time? And overwhelmingly, nearly 95% of people said yes. That was a slightly smaller sample size than we got in accounting, but the accounting industry had over 80% as well. So if we split the difference and get a fairly comfortable sample size for that data, we're looking at least 85% of professional services clients, generally legal clients specifically, who actually do want to see ratings and reviews before the fact of making a purchase. And intuitively, that makes sense. You wouldn't spend hundreds of dollars at a restaurant without reading reviews first. So why would you spend potentially thousands and have long-term relationships without getting as many data points as possible? And what we do find is that a lot of the traffic that comes to our site as well is from people who are actually searching an individual firm's name, and then they find the profile on FirmChecker for that firm, which then gives them a lot more confidence to sort of pick up the phone and get in contact. So reviews really should be starting to become a key part of your online marketing strategy, just at the point of not only awareness, which FirmChecker does help with through the unique users that we have, but also through that stage of consideration through the buyer cycle model, where people may be comparing you against a few other firms. If you're the firm that's on there and actually has proof of what you do, a good track record of satisfied clients, which we do have if you keep scrolling down. I'll just quickly jump back onto this example profile. If you scroll back down, you can see, okay, there are reviews here where people are by and large very happy with the service. They're detailed, they're attributed to CEO education and training. They're specific reviews that are very detailed. They drill down into the area of business that somebody's in, and they actually give a bit more depth, I guess, than the sort of typical 5-star and a comment that you might see on other review platforms or Google reviews, for example. So we really do serve to remove a bit of a friction there in the buying process. Now, that being said, we don't see that as by any means the end of the story. While we do help people manage their online word of mouth and sort of carve out a niche in the area of their client's need, we do recognize, and the data does suggest, that most of your work as a law firm is going to come from existing clients and repeat businesses in most cases. Beyond that, the next most common way that people will actually find a lawyer or accountant is through word of mouth. That's at that awareness stage before they get into the consideration stage and start checking something like FirmChecker. So it is really important to actually focus on service quality per se, and that's what we've really designed the platform around. And once we look at the back end and I get into, a bit more of a substantive demo, we'll be able to show the different ways that our platform intersects with the buyer cycle model and how it actually helps improve client outcomes, improve client retention. So I'll just quickly look at the dashboard and refresh it lest we've been timed out because I had it running there in the background. We'll see how that goes. If you just bear with me for a second. Okay, it seems to be going okay. So one of the most important things, because most of your business is going to be coming from repeat business, it's a bit of a no-brainer, but that's actually measure the satisfaction of each and every client that comes through your door and who you are serving in a disciplined way. And this is somewhere where a lot of firms fall down, and they're actually leaving a lot of money on the table, because a lot of the time clients can kind of silently exit and go to another firm without you even really having a lead indicator of that happening. And that obviously impacts upon your your financial performance in the long run. Client satisfaction really is the biggest lead indicator of financial performance. So what you can do here is, having sent out a unique survey link which goes to your clients at the end of each matter. Typically, we'll get at least a 30% response rate with the way we've designed our survey, and we have templates that assist you in asking for client feedback effectively, and ways that you can integrate this into your system so that it's a fairly efficient and automated process. But as these reviews come in, clients have the option of either giving private feedback or leaving a public review. Now, this is obviously pretty helpful from a couple of perspectives. One, I've mentioned family law a couple of times, but as you would imagine, there are a number of cases where people might not be comfortable leaving a public online review about a family law matter. However, they are willing to give feedback and want to, and they can do that via private means, so that only appears in your dashboard. The other thing as well is that private reviews do tend to actually be a little bit more discursive and a little bit more constructive or robust in their feedback, as I might say. So it means that to the extent that you've got clients who otherwise might have left a public review that was not glowing, they've got an avenue which they can divert and choose, actually, I'd prefer to give this feedback privately. So that does actually benefit your public presence as well. So if we just look at an example, I'm just on a dummy dashboard here that we have set up for the purposes of demonstration. But you can see, you drill down into everything that was said by the individual client. You can see the specific areas that they thought was great, the specific areas they thought could be improved, and it really gives you a bit more to go with. You can respond to it all from one place. So if you click here and type an example response, then that would be sent to their email. If it was a public review, it would post as a comment underneath there. So it really is sort of an end-to-end client feedback and management platform. If I just jump back to the slide deck, there was another really interesting piece of data that we used to inform the design of this product. And that's based upon our partnership with Beaton Research and Consulting as well, who have regressed the key drivers of word of mouth. Because as you would have seen in that slide previously, while most of your business will come through repeat business, the next biggest driver of business is actually word of mouth growth. And to that end, we do have a net promoter score, which is built into the product. Many of you may be aware of it, but it is a nearly ubiquitous client satisfaction metric across numerous industries, including law, where it's becoming increasingly popular. But for those of you who aren't aware of the Net Promoter Score, it's based upon clients' willingness to recommend you to other people. So you will have received surveys, I'm sure, from a number of businesses who have asked you, how likely are you to recommend our company, our firm, on a scale of 0 to 10 to another. And the way that this feeds into the Net Promoter Score is, you take the promoters, that is people who write 9 or 10, I'm very likely to recommend you to another, a friend or colleague. You have passives, I should say. They're people who are neutral, they're satisfied enough, they're not necessarily going to rave about you, they're not going to badmouth you either, they're neutral. And then you have detractors, people who are rated you 0 to 6, that generally got some things that they weren't particularly happy with in the service. And the way you calculate the Net Promoter Score is, you take the percentage of 0s to 6s and you subtract from them you subtract them from the percentage of people who rated you 9 and 10. That gives you the Net Promoter Score, which is a great comparator and a benchmark that you can aspire to constantly improve. It also acts as a proxy for organic growth. So that's all well and good. And what we did is we analysed thousands of reviews to derive what are the key drivers of word of mouth growth. Not just will you be recommended to other people, but what can you do to improve the rate at which you are recommended to other people. And what we found is that communication is the single biggest driver, and that is manifested in proactive updates to clients. And also in being responsive to client demands. But the biggest single one that we see, the most common complaint we see is, you know what, it would have been easier if we had proactive updates. We knew where we were in a matter, even when maybe there's nothing happening on it. Lawyers do tend to forget. Communication is the single biggest thing. Just have updates when you might not even think it's necessary. It gives the client peace of mind. And that also segues into a big difference throughout the buyer cycle model is, yes, they were looking for demonstrated expertise in their area of need when they were hiring you. But now that you've been hired by that client, they expect more. The expertise is a given, and you'll see that still in that rubric, but they actually start to care more about, are you reliable? Do you give me peace of mind? How was I made to feel throughout the course of doing business with you? And that's where these metrics come in: understanding of your business and your needs, the reliability of the firm. And what our dashboard does is, through our survey, which is a little bit more detailed, we actually automatically give you the average ratings for those key drivers of recommendation, so that you have a bit more of a basis upon which you can direct not your tactical efforts, as in, you've got an individual client, which is saying, who's not particularly happy, you can go and save that relationship. That pays for the platform many times over just through doing that. Or you've got a client who's a raving fan, you can ask them for a recommendation, it gets in new work. So that's at a tactical level. But if you zoom out at a strategic level, you can start to see what are the areas that we need to improve if we're going to take our firm to the next level and start turning it into its own sort of lead generation machine, whereby the service per se is just the means by which people start recommending you to other people. So let's say, for example, the area for improvement, as it might be segmented, is communication. You see the most common complaint is, when somebody's away, I don't feel that I have another point of contact within the firm. That's an actionable strategic step that you can take, one of many that will be revealed through this data, that you can then address, and then your firm just runs a bit more smoothly, and that has compounding benefits over time. Some of the other insights that you can see there, you'll see you've got the Net Promoter Score, include the client activity on your profile, where your reviews are coming from, whether they're coming from invited people through your survey link or coming organically on your firm profile. So it really just it gives you a place where you can, see your client satisfaction at a granular view, zoom out to sort of a bird's eye view, and make better decisions about it. Given that that's where most of your business comes from, it really does make a lot of sense for client satisfaction to be a systematic thing that you really do measure and consistently try to improve. One more thing that I will quickly touch on as well, this sort of loops back into earlier in the buyer cycle, I guess at that consideration stage, but we do have a bunch of different widgets that you can leverage online. So you can take this code and put it on your website, and you'll see a ticker of live reviews, which addresses that social proof need that buyers increasingly have, and they puts that right on your website, but from an independent source. And what that can do is that can serve to reduce out traffic. You'll know that 90% of people are actually looking to find reviews if they can. If you can put them front and center on your site, that obviously is helpful in boosting your conversions. Likewise, you can put on the badge with your FirmChecker score or your NPS as you begin to unlock that with more reviews. So just jumping back to the slide deck, we do have a few more stats. This is a bit more of a plug. It's maybe not directly applicable and not useful to your firm in isolation, as I hope the other insights were, but through signing up to FirmChecker, you do actually have automatic entry into the Client Choice Awards. In order to be eligible, you do need to get 30 reviews over at least a 3-month period. But what it does is it just gives you an additional way that you can really use FirmChecker to enhance your reputation, because it does give you entry into the Client Choice Awards, which have been around for well over a decade in professional services through the BRW and Financial Review variously. The key partner is now NAB, who is a great partner in the awards. But we've had well over 500 firms that have been rated since the awards inception. Most of them come back to have repeat entries again and again, because they do find it very valuable to be part of that network, part of the community of the Client Choice Awards, and also to have the benefits to staff morale and the benefits to branding associated with being a winner or finalist in those awards. hundreds of thousands of ratings since 2005 and thousands of media mentions each year. So that is a nice part of being part of the FirmChecker ecosystem, is that you do get to build and join in that community. And that really does just make it a great way that you can meet other professionals as well, not just in law, but across accounting, the built environment space. The gala dinner has 400 of the leaders of these firms year on year. And what FirmChecker has done through this partnership with Nav & Beaton is we've brought this and opened it up to small to medium firms, whereas previously it was only firms in the ilk of King & Wood Mallisons, KPMG, Grant Thornton, Becker, those sorts of huge firms across those big industries. It's now come down to the small to medium market. The way that you do make sure that you're eligible for that is by signing up to FirmChecker and just making sure that you get at least 30 reviews, which is an achievable number for smaller firms out there, but also it is statistically valid and does give us a bit more data that we can analyze and work on. But end to end, that is essentially how the platform works. As I said, just to recap, we have designed it so that at each stage of this buyer cycle, albeit with sort of engagement and onboarding currently being areas that we leave to the firms because you've all got your different systems. At the beginning, in terms of people becoming aware of you, we help. In terms of people considering your firm, we do provide the tools through you can proactively differentiate yourself out in the market. And then also we provide tools by which you can make sure that you're seeing how clients are analysing you, recommending you to others, and actually not just say, okay, we're likely to be recommended or we're not, but give you the data that you need to make sure that that's an area for consistent improvement with your firm. And with so few firms doing this systematically, it really is fairly low-hanging fruit in terms of standing out from the crowd, from client experience, which is just going to be increasingly important. So having gone through this, and it's just been me talking for some time and doing a high-level demonstration of the product, I might just throw it over to Christine.
That was a really interesting demonstration. It was great to see how FirmChecker's platform can help firms use data to stand out in a crowded market by boosting awareness, increasing conversion rates, and enhancing customer experience. So a huge thank you to all of you who have attended today. On that note, we will draw to a close. As you know, the Centre for Legal Innovation is very much focused on these types of webinars, this type of information sharing, collaboration and experience exchange. We are all about practical solutions. There will be many more webinars coming up in the Legal Techy Tuesday series in 2020, so don't forget to follow us on LinkedIn, Twitter or Facebook for announcements. We look forward to welcoming you back to one of our events, and thank you again very much for joining us today. Thanks, Ben. Thank you, everybody.
Thanks, Christine. Really appreciate it. And if you would like a free trial, we do have them available at firmchecker.com.au/4firms.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Bye.